No intention to be rebellious. I didn't set out either to be visionary. I just don't really like doing it the way that other people do it. So now I have my own path, my own narrative, and I take some inspiration from some years I spent in the music business, where really you have to form your own universe, your own aesthetic, your own sound, and that's what I'm trying to do in design business. Um, yeah, rebellion. There's not really that much to rebel against in design, realistically. I think people like stories, and in a very crowded marketplace or a very crowded visual world, you have to stand out not just with objects that are different from everybody else's, but stories that are different from everybody else's. And people increasingly want to know a story behind a product or a story behind a brand. And we've got a lot of stories, so we like to tell them. The beauty of the design business is that it doesn't really exist in isolation. It has to be applied to something else. And that something else could be anything that's man-made or even nature. So there's 1,000 things that I haven't done yet. I've only just started as a designer, really. I've never done a mobile phone, which is probably the most important thing in the contemporary world, which replaces so many objects that we used to have. I've never really done any transport, which is a big narrative. I've done city planning. I've never built a bridge, right? So all of these things can be designed. And what's so nice about design is that you never need to get bored because you can always apply your design thinking to a new and different field. I think the big conversation right now, obviously, that nobody can stop talking about because they are, right? So we're living in an interesting time where new tools are coming. I spend a lot of time thinking, wouldn't it have been amazing to be a designer in Berlin in the 1930s or in America in the 1950s, because everything was changing and moving. But we're living in a time right now where everything is changing and moving so fast that it's very hard for the human brain to comprehend, right? So for designers, that's an opportunity. For criminals, that's an opportunity. For troublemakers, it's an opportunity as well. So we need to use those tools for positive development, which is what design should be doing anyway, right? I think that the trend that we're vanishing into a completely digital world is quite unappealing. I love all of the senses, of smell and taste and touch and texture. And I think that we lose quite a lot by vanishing into a screen in that way, and even attempts to make it three-dimensional, for me, lose a bit of the beauty of what it is to be human, right? This is a new chair called Groove, which is, quite a good analogy for the way that I work, and is really pushed by changes in human behaviour. We've spent a lot more time, particularly in England, living outdoors since COVID, so outdoor furniture becomes quite important. It was important for me also to make a chair which was very light. So this is aluminium, and its features very much that the decoration is the structure. So in a lot of my work, you'll see that there's no applied decoration. It's still quite decorative, but the decoration here is really the corrugation. So you see corrugation and grooves on all kinds of different typologies. Corrugated iron, for instance. Even on this suit, we've got corrugations because of the way that it's woven on the corduroy, right? But here the corrugation is making this very thin sheets of aluminium very stiff and very light. And just by curving the corrugation round to make a softer back, which is more comfortable, then you get this very decorative effect. So this could easily be an Art Deco chair, could easily be a Bauhaus chair actually, or it could be a 1950s chair. It's very hard to place in a kind of style history. For me, it's a modern chair because it's just depending on its structure and its material. to do what it does. So this is our best-selling line, which is called Milk. Very high-tech, actually German-made grade here. So this is made by a company in Germany that specializes in lampposts. So in every town in Germany, the round lampposts that you see in the city square are made by this company. And it's a very organic shape. But what's interesting about the specific version is that it's a portable. So obviously with the advances in battery technology and the efficiencies of LEDs, which is very much part of the modern world, we're finding that lighting, which used to be tied to the ceiling with a cord or tied to the wall with a cord, is now mobile again. Just like in 200 years ago when candles were flexible, you moved lights around. Now we can move lights around as well. We can move it indoors or outdoors. And so this is, these two objects really represent BIF research that we've been doing over the last couple of years into mobility, into flexibility, into indoor-outdoor, and into new materials and new technologies. So this is a new sofa, which is really a very typical British sofa, which is called the Chesterfield. So what's kind of nice about these kind of sofas is you can kind of misuse them. You can kind of sit on them back to front. The back is attractive as well as the front. And that's working into this new way of sitting that we're experiencing is that sofas used to be where everybody sat in a line or faced one focal point, which was normally the television. But now everybody's sitting on the sofa. They still want to be together, but they don't necessarily need to be facing in the same direction. So one person could be sitting on the side here, ordering their delivery on their phone. Another person's doing their homework. But sofas are now moved into the middle of the room rather than into the shoved into the corner or against the wall. And then the other upholstery collection that we've got is fat. And fat is really an exercise in reducing completely the elements of a chair to just four legs and a back and a seat, the bare minimum that you can get away with, and just inflating them so that they're more robust and more comfortable actually. And again, I think, I'm a very bad sitter. I don't like to sit in conventional ways, but that allows you to sit a bit back to front and to miss-sit in a way, to sit badly. And I'm always moving around. So the flat chair allows me to really sit in unconventional positions and still be comfortable. But the welding liberated a whole world of possibilities because it's a very quick way of making very solid structures. So over my career, I used to have a metal workshop. I had 20 assistants there at one point. And a lot of people have come through the workshop, and I think the thing I'm probably the most proud of is that lots of people have gone off and made their own businesses because they realised that they didn't have to have a university degree or backing from big money to start their own business. So the welding torch for me is my magical instrument. With these gas bottles and these implements, we can cut metal, we can bend metal, we can finish metal, and we can weld metal together to make very, very strong structures very quickly. And that's how I became a designer, by just making many, many things. The metal was free. I used to find it on the streets when skips. And it really demonstrates that A, anybody can become a designer, and B, that the entry to it is through practice. So yeah, you asked me what I'd be most proud of. It's really demonstrating that it's possible to create your own business and to output your own ideas without it becoming a big and complicated process.